So you saw a blue jay once, and now you want to get into wildlife. You're gonna need a lens for that. If you want this one, little Olympus 75 to 300, you could become a dishwasher and get this within a couple weeks. Not bad, easy feat. If you want the Leica 50 to 200, you might have to invest in pigeon cyborg technology and hope that it takes off. We know that it will, though. It's not much risk. If you want the Leica 200mm prime, however, you would have to invent a time machine that cleans your bum. Just the odds are not good.
All I want is the perfect camera. All I want is the perfect camera.
My fiance is doing laundry, but I turned it into an opportunity to diffuse RGB lighting to make just a cinema. The cinema's there. So I took the Panasonic GH6 out with all three of these lenses. Let me tell you what a pain in the ass that was. Getting to see something, it's like, okay, we got the shot on the Leica. Switch lens. Okay, cool, you're still there. Switch lens, you're leaving. What are you doing? It was hard, but I'm actually shocked at the differences. They're there, but not like what you would think. First, just take a look, side by side, all three of them. Can you really see the difference? Like, are you blown away by ones like, yep, that's that one, and the Olympus, that's the worst one? I think it's a lot closer than we think. When it comes to the weights, this little Olympus, you barely feel it on your camera, 469 grams. The Leica, a little heavier, a little hefty, 718 grams, but still very light and doable. This one's got some hunk, some spunk at 1422 grams. So it's like almost double this one, and then that one's like a third. When it comes to price, it's similar. $610 Canadian I've seen it for, brand new. Frickin' $22.60. You're jumping. 45 hundo. That's ridiculous. I, of course, didn't pay that. I got the deal of the century. So I did some studio tests to like be controlled and test the actual sharpness, same lighting conditions, what would happen, and then I took it out in the field and got some actual real world stuff. So the first thing I did was a couple days ago, I did the Leica 50 to 200 versus the 200mm prime. I wanted to see, and the first shot I was like, you gotta be kidding me. There is no way that prime is that much sharper. I was like, seriously? How? Punching into pixel to pixel mode, 4K 120p, I have to think that I missed focus or something on the 50 to 200 because it's so unbelievably softer, but it was there, man. The peaking was right on it. The only conclusion I can have, because in this test, I would let the ISO just wave. So like obviously 2.8 versus 24, the ISO jumped up. Could that have made much of a difference? It seemed to have. I just wanted to double check, and it seems they're much closer in actual reality. You can tell the Leica prime on your right, it's like just slightly more sharp, a little more contrasty, better noise performance. So I did this with all three lenses, and then we'll get into some actual wildlife footage. But here's a little peppercorn. There's the peppercorn on the Leica prime. You can see the Celtic sea salt in the back. It's a little blurry. Nicely done. Contrast detected. Yes, look good. Look, nice little image there, even though it's 4K 120p. You thought it was a still image. I fooled you. Then you switch over to the Leica 50 to 200, and if you're just looking at it, looks very similar. Celtic sea salt now a little less blurry. It's noticeably less blurry, but it looked as sharp, kind of. Like you barely notice a difference at this resolution until you punch in. And then we have the Olympus at 200mm. So that's a Tony 6.1. We had to ramp some ISOs on there. Highlight roll-off not looking as good. Everything about it looks a little more washed out, but similar. And then Olympus has the advantage in that it can get to 300mm, where the others are stuck at 200. So that could make up for some tone lackage. So side by side, blown up to 300%. You can see the Leica prime is the sharpest and most contrasty. The Leica 50 to 200, probably a second place, but it's very close to the Olympus 75 to 300, at 200 at least. You're not like, it's not other worlds different. So many videos I've made comparing this little Olympus zoom lens to like a full frame setup or the Fuji, and people are like, how come you're using that lens as a ghetto lens? It's really good. You haven't tested it like I have. It's amazing, this thing. So light, so cute. And last bullshit studio test. This is punching in. So Olympus is at its 300, and then the other two are punching in post to match it. And I'm seeing that Olympus is pretty nice. I don't even know what, like they're so close. The only real difference is the light gathering abilities in the real world. You'll see a little sharper image, it's nice, but like it's just the 6.7 that hurts this lens. You won't get as much separation, and if you're in like a cloudy day, then your ISO's gonna ramp. That's gonna hurt. So I headed out, I had the 200mm prime on me, saw a cardinal, and I was like kind of blown away just by the colors. Like it would have been nice to get closer to that. I haven't even tested the teleconverter yet. The cardinal stops right with a twig in the eye. That's always painful. They always do that to me. It's like they're hiding behind a twig on purpose. You know what's funny? I get close to this swamp edge and I hear this kingfisher, like, I've never heard it that loud and consistent. It was getting louder and louder, like it was freaking and flying towards me. He landed on a branch so close to me, and I was just staying there looking at him. I was like, wow, I know as soon as I lift my camera to take a picture, you're gone. So I just enjoyed the moment. I was like, wow, look, you're so close to me. And then I did slowly do that, and he took off like the wind. But I did see him again and realized immediately the limitations of a 200mm prime. We got that, and I've now noticed that pixel to pixel mode on the Panasonic is utter trash. It looks good, but you get the same, if not sharper results just punching in on the 4K 120p instead of the HD 120p super crop. Like, what is the point of that mode then, Panasonic? Let me into your marketing plan here, because it does nothing. I wasted a lot of time making custom modes for that, changing settings. So now it's just 4K 120, 300 frames sometimes, HD 240 for a slight improvement, still slow, and then 4K 60 with dynamic range boost. Oh my god, haven't even tried it yet. Can't wait. So I finally found some somewhat stationary animals, the ducks of life, and I got them on the prime, and then I switched lenses. Noticed that they move faster than lightning, and they were gone, but we got some comparable shots eventually. But like side by side with the most expensive lens and the cheapest lens, can you tell which one is which? Like, it should be obvious for that kind of money, but I don't think it is. I mean, I was enjoying the Olympus shot. It was easy, it was light, it was fun. It was easy to manually focus, I thought, until I got the footage back at least. I felt like I was on it. The peaking, I was like, oh yeah, I'm totally nailing this. Not sure I did. But this just confirms that Olympus lens is fantastic for the money, and it's just the Olympus cameras that were letting me down all this time. Once you put it on a nice body, it's like, okay, there it is. The cinema's yours. And I noticed the Stabe is better in Panasonic than it was Olympus as well. It's just good, totally good. You could totally get by on just this setup. Here I tried to kneel down, and for some reason the Stabe was fighting me hard. It always does when I kneel because I'm shaking around, but I can do this on the Leica primes, no problem. And the 50 to 200, like it's sync Stabe, so it works. But when you have just IBIS, it's not as good at all. This was HD 120p pixel to pixel mode, and I'm just struggling so hard with it. The Stabe gets so bad in that mode. That's another thing that sucks about pixel to pixel. It's like you might as well just film 4K 120p, you get good Stabe, and then crop and post. Pixel to pixel lies. Now, obviously, I should have used the Panasonic 100 to 300 instead of this. I didn't have it. Thank you so much for leaving the comments down there. I love those. Captain Obvious Award. Do you want one with your cereal? I hope you choke. You dolphin-eating piece of shit. Doing a little pixel-to-pixel action. HD 120p. Leica versus Olympus. Not bad. not bad. They're both very similar. It's like there's not much to distinguish. It's just the better light and better separation. So if it was me, knowing that Panasonic is superior to Olympus for video, we know that. So you're getting your GH6, maybe a G9 if you have to. Okay, you're looking at either the Panasonic 100 to 300, this one, 50 to 200, 200 mil prime, or the 100 to 400. I have to say, while the 100 to 400 seems like an ultimate great thing, super reach, the build quality, the zoom stiffness, the manual focus stiffness, I don't like using that lens at all, whereas I don't have any of those problems with these. So would I really get this? No. Olympus, Panasonic is what you want to stick with. 100 to 300, probably worse than this, I bet. Slightly worse, sharpness-wise, but better stave. Really what you're debating here are these two hunkamunkas. I would say probably go with the 100 to 300 for now, because it's so cheap. It's like similar cheapness to this. Then you'll be fine for a while, but eventually you want to upgrade. You'll lose some reach though, so that might be the perfect mix, but I did notice the 100 to 400 was much sharper than the 100 to 300. When it comes to which one I'm going to keep, this one I've been trying to sell for a while. You're lucky to even have witnessed this because nobody bought it yet. You go over there. Which one will I keep of these? I am totally leaning towards probably the prime. It's so much heavier, that is annoying, but it's so much slightly better that it's worth it. It's worth carrying that. It would be nice to have a little zoom range, but I don't know, is that necessary? I can see this thing being a pain in the ass to travel with. It is heavier. This foot is annoying to carry with the knuckle dragging, ribs of the metal. But it's so much better in slight amounts that I think it competes with full frame now. I haven't done the comparison yet, and it probably doesn't, but it could. And I like those odds. I bet in 240p, the GH6 is better than the Sony a7S III. I should probably just test it and stop claiming things, but it could be better, and I like those odds. I think my next outing will be comparing this to the Sony 200 to 600, taking them both and somehow making a day of that. And then I'll know, does this compete with full frame? Is it worth even keeping? I might sell all of them. You don't know that I won't. So to sum up my thoughts, there's nothing wrong with going the budget route. You get good enough results. It's just if you end up comparing it, you will cry to something better. But I would totally start out with the budget option and then work your way up. Maybe you want to upgrade one day. I think you can't beat this for Micro Four Thirds. 300mm Tony 4 Prime, you're in the ballpark, but then you have to go Olympus to really get the sync stave, and that's now we've seen Panasonic's better, so that's really not an option. This is king of Micro Four Thirds right now until something comes better. When it comes to Fuji, they have no prime, so I'm thinking 100 to 400 dies to this immediately. I've already seen the 240p's worse than the 300p in the Penny Boy. So you have to jump to full frame. Even though this is full frame money, it might be worth keeping. It's smaller, lighter, barely, and way more stable. So there's trade-offs. There are trade-offs. We'll find out the real truth when I compare it to full frame. I'm gonna leave. Which of these are you gonna buy through my affiliate links today? Notice how I gave you the option that only allowed you buying items. I didn't ask you if you were gonna buy it. It's the dirtiest trick in the book, but I don't mind it. I'm gonna leave. Oh wow, I just came under the limit for that one. Canon's about to turn off. Should we wait? I put a glimmer glass filter on here. Did you notice the last scene? I did it. See that side by side? It's better than he was. There's highlights blooming. That's good. I have 4 seconds left. That There's not an unlimited recording. Oh wow. Just turns off, doesn't it? Oh, that's annoying.